our mission today is it's highly specific. We are tearing apart the results and maybe more importantly, the rationale behind the rankings for just one single round in this massive competition.
Just one group?
Round 1, Group 235. We really need to understand the criteria that allowed certain albums to succeed against others that, on paper, they look far more critically acclaimed.
And the premise of this album quest, it seems simple at first, but it's deceptively ruthless. It's structured like the football World Cup.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
So albums from wildly different eras and genres are just randomly tossed together into these groups of 4. It's musical anarchy, really.
And then comes the ultimate stress test.
Yeah.
I mean, to truly determine quality under pressure, these 4 albums, they have to be listened to back to back.
Multiple times.
Multiple times, yes. Before the reviewer locks in a final grade of 1st through 4th place, and only the top 2 get to advance to the next round.
It's a mechanism I think it's designed to eliminate albums that might be classics, things you're supposed to like, but they just lack the structural consistency or, frankly, the endurance to survive being listened to over and over and over again.
It's like a fatigue test for music.
It is. And what's fascinating here is the sheer breadth of genre we are forced to compare in this one group.
This one group alone, yeah.
And how one person's taste, when you subject it to this repetitive process, it completely shapes the results. This quest just strips away critical consensus. It strips away historical prestige.
All of it.
And it leaves only the listener's raw, immediate, and sustained emotional response.
Okay, let's unpack this. Group 235 is a masterpiece of culture clash.
Yeah.
It features a lineup that, it should never share the same playlist.
Never.
We have NWOBHM. That's the new wave of British heavy metal pitted against 80s blues rock.
Okay.
Side by side with 2000s pop punk and somehow high opera.
The randomness is the point, isn't it? Forces these radical comparisons you'd never make otherwise.
Exactly.
So the 4 contenders for round 1, Group 235, were first, Hammersmith, 1981 by Saxon.
Okay.
Then Riot by Paramore.
A different vibe.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Then Rough Diamonds, the vinyl version, by Bad Company.
A classic rock staple.
And finally, the 3 tenors in concert by Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, and Jose Carreras.
Wow.
And, well, the album that took first place gives us an immediate, almost philosophical insight into the heart of this entire album quest.
That's right. So taking the coveted first place spot and progressing to round 2 is Saxon's Hammersmith 1981.
Oh, yeah.
This is our immediate aha moment because the album, as it was submitted, is a ghost. It's an album that doesn't officially exist.
Exactly. And this is where this term I've been thinking about, curatorial synthesis, comes into play. It speaks volumes about the dedication to the whole album quest concept.
Curatorial synthesis, I like that.
Saxon's Hammersmith 1981 is not a commercially sanctioned release. It was entirely invented by Greenstarox.
We have to start with his confession, which is just fantastic. He admits that he compiled this album from bonus content.
Just bonus tracks.
Just bonus tracks found on 2 of his remastered Saxon CDs, Strong Arm of the Law and Wheels of Steel. He literally turned these scattered, forgotten tracks into a cohesive artistic statement.
And that right there elevates the reviewer from just a mere consumer of art to a creator of the listening experience itself.
Yes.
He wasn't satisfied with the official catalog or, how these bonus tracks were just haphazardly distributed at the end of a CD.
Right, like an afterthought.
Exactly. He saw a superior, unreleased entity lurking in those fragments. And the intent here, it matters deeply.
And the justification is really the core philosophical takeaway of this entire section.
Yeah.
The reviewer noted that all this bonus material, it seemed to be from the same 1981 run of live shows.
At the Hammersmith Odeon.
At Hammersmith Odeon, right. So he concluded it would be a shame not to listen to the material combined into a single collection.
And that is the ultimate subjective lens applied to an album quest, isn't it? It's the argument that coherence and the optimal seamless listening flow that trumps official release status.
It totally does.
If a listener can construct a superior, more cohesive whole from these fragmented parts, then, well, in the context of this quest, that constructed album is valid.
And not just valid.
And clearly superior to 3 other official releases.
But wait, let me push back on that a little. If the core rule is to judge albums, doesn't inventing one fundamentally cheat the system?
That's a fair question.
Shouldn't we be punishing that kind of behavior, not rewarding it?
I see that. That's a fair challenge, but I think the methodology of the album quest itself provides the answer.
Okay.
If the goal is to find the best album, which really means the best listening experience,
I see where you're going.
then the source material's provenance, where it came from, it becomes secondary to its performance under scrutiny.
So it's not about the artifact, it's about the effect.
Precisely. The Invented Saxon compilation was judged purely on its sonic integrity and its flow during that rigorous back-to-back testing. If it flowed perfectly and sustained high energy, it simply outperformed the others, regardless of how it was packaged.
So it becomes a measure of Greenstock's taste as a curator, just as much as Saxon's performance.
Yes, it's a test of both.
That's a really powerful validation of the listener experience. Now, let's talk about the music itself. We are dealing with NWOBHM, the new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah.
For those less familiar, this is the movement of, the late 70s and early 80s that pushed heavy metal away from the bluesy, slow riffing of early Black Sabbath and Deep Purple.
Right, the first wave.
And toward a faster, tighter, more technically aggressive sound.
Absolutely. Saxon, alongside Iron Maiden and Def Leppard, they were the pillars of this scene.
Yeah.
They're delivering what the review calls riff-heavy classics here.
And the source highlights superb renditions of tracks like Dallas 1 p.m. and Seven Strangers in the Night.
Great tracks, and they're all defined by this urgency and these sharp, galloping rhythm sections. It's music that just propels you forward.
And let's not forget Wheels of Steel. The reviewer noted a specific quirk here: the elongated audience participation segment.
Oh, the sing-along part.
Yes, the sing-along. This is usually the part of a live album where a lot of listeners, including me, just cringe or tune out.
It totally disrupts the momentum.
It does. But the reviewer notes, surprisingly, that it doesn't really ruin this song at all.
And that's a high compliment for any live recording, especially from that era. For that audience participation bit, which is usually just so excessive, to be judged as acceptable, even enjoyable, it speaks volumes about the atmosphere captured in this synthesized concert.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It suggests that the energy level was so consistently high, the band-audience rapport was so palpable, that the interruption felt natural and invigorating.
Instead of self-indulgent.
Exactly. It was part of that seamless flow that Greenstock's created. It didn't break the spell.
And I love that emotional hook the reviewer mentions. Despite being seriously early 80s hardcore metal, the reviewer found this compiled concert rather homely and warm for some reason.
That paradox, homely and warm, coupled with hardcore metal, that is the key to its victory.
It is, isn't it?
It implies a sense of comfort and consistency. The production might be raw, but the performance is reliable, it's perfectly paced, and it's free from the dramatic dips or chaotic moments that often plague live recordings.
It's just a solid, comforting slab of metal.
It is. It implies that this synthesized live experience was just perfectly executed, providing an almost nostalgic, comforting blanket of heavy metal perfection. And this strong, consistent emotional connection, that's what secured the first-place victory.
So it confirms that in this album quest, coherence and the pure listening experience, they trump official release status.
Especially when that invented experience delivers unexpected comfort and flawless momentum, it's a huge finding.
It really is. So if Saxon was about perfect, controlled, and, invented energy, then Bad Company represents the exact opposite dynamic.
The flip side of the coin.
Brilliant talent, completely derailed by chaos. Now we move to the eliminated, landing in third place, Bad Company's Rough Diamonds.
And this is a textbook example of how external context can just taint the final product, especially when that product is subjected to the rigorous scrutiny of the album quest.
Right.
Released in 1982, Rough Diamonds is historically significant because it was the last album featuring that legendary original lineup.
Including Paul Rodgers on vocals.
The one and only.
And the story surrounding this album is almost as famous as the music itself. The reviewer made sure to acknowledge the dramatic backstage tension. The recording sessions were fraught with disagreements and fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs. It immediately raises the question, can brilliant individual musicianship compensate for profound internal disunity?
And the reviewers used to suggest.
No. The reviewer strongly suggests that the documented tension absolutely affected the final output.
Right.
The individual components, killer guitar passages from Mick Ralphs, the flawless power of Rodgers' vocals, they were all there.
The ingredients were there.
But the synergy was gone. The whole was less than the sum of its parts.
It's described as an unapologetic, laid-back blues rock album. But the comparison that jumps out at me is the note that it was sounding a bit foreigner-like in places.
And that comparison is crucial. It's so telling because it signals a strategic shift that ultimately penalized them in this album quest.
How so?
Well, Bad Company was fundamentally a gritty, soulful, a very British blues rock band.
That was their whole thing.
The reference to Foreigner hints at this subtle but detrimental move toward the more polished, commercially sanitized sound of early 80s arena rock, or AOR.
Because they were chasing a sound.
Exactly.
Really?
It implies the production value smoothed out all the rough edges, sacrificing the soulful core that made Bad Company unique in the first place. They were chasing the 80s radio sound and maybe losing their own identity in the process.
They didn't start badly on the album, though. The reviewer notes that the opening track, Electric Land, is a warm and satisfying effort which sets the mood for the whole album.
Right. It establishes that laid-back blues rock vibe they were aiming for.
So there was promise.
Yes, and that initial promise of quality seems to be what kept them in the running for a little while. But promise doesn't endure the 4 or 5 mandatory back-to-back listens required by the album quest.
This is where the structural flaw became apparent.
Exactly. The critical flaw identified by the reviewer isn't a lack of quality per se, but a lack of endurance. The material doesn't exactly sparkle, and crucially, it gets a bit wobbly towards the lackluster final quarter.
That phrase, a bit wobbly, that is the death knell when you're being compared to the unflinching consistency of that Saxon compilation.
It's the kiss of death. We see a clear documentation of diminishing returns, a structural failure. Greensterox even pinpoints the specific drop-off.
He does.
The final 2 tracks mentioned, Downhill Rider and Racetrack, are cited as where the output feels like it's dipped a little.
And when you're ranking 1 through 4, dipping a little in the final stretch is more than enough to get you eliminated by a rival that maintains high energy all the way through.
No question. So if Saxon was rewarded for that manufactured cohesion,
Bad Company was penalized for genuine internal fracture. The lack of unity translated directly into musical inconsistency.
And inconsistency under that back-to-back pressure, it means elimination.
So Bad Company finished 3rd, edged out by Paramore, getting the rough end of the stick.
Yeah. The tension, the lack of sparkle, that wobbly final quarter, it all means they failed the test of sustained listenability.
It is a powerful lesson. Great talent cannot save a fragmented album when its entire structure is being stressed repeatedly.
It just can't.
That brings us to the 2 wildcards, which really make Group 235 so bizarre.
So strange.
Taking the crucial second-round slot, advancing alongside the heavy metal behemoths of Saxon, is Paramore's Riot.
Paramore. This represents a complete generational and genre shift. Riot was their second studio album, released in 2007.
Right.
And its success here really underscores the power of what I'd call the fun factor in this album quest. It defeated a historically important album by a legendary rock band.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Paramore's contemporary, high-energy, pop-friendly vibe was enough to overcome the gravitas and the tension of Bad Company.
Yeah.
The reviewer noted that Riot is more polished than their debut, with the material stepping up a gear.
And that polish is exactly what you need for endurance in an album quest. The genre is described as high-energy, pop-friendly rock.
Which made it
slightly less intensive than their debut and way more fun.
Way more fun.
And the moment Greensterox had to face those mandatory repeated listens, the concept of fun became an incredibly valuable asset. The album is just. It's effortless to consume repeatedly.
Unlike the effort required to engage with fragmented, tense blues rock.
Exactly.
The reviewer provided a helpful grounding for the listener less familiar with 2000s rock, describing the style as a cross between Avril Lavigne and Evanescence.
And that comparison is spot on for explaining its winning formula.
I thought so too.
You get the raw pop-punk energy and the earworm accessibility of Avril Lavigne, combined with the strong, undeniable rock polish and vocal power that's often associated with Evanescence. It's a perfect balance.
Its immediate hook blended with technical proficiency.
All driven by Hayley Williams' completely captivating presence.
And that polished, fun, high-energy consistency is exactly what Bad Company lacked in its final quarter, isn't it?
It's the key difference.
Yeah.
Paramore maintained that level of enjoyment across every single repeated listen.
The favorite track mentioned, Crush, 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 it just epitomizes that powerful, contemporary, consistent pop rock sound.
Oh, Crush 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 is a masterclass in modern rock engineering. It's immediate, it's catchy, it's perfectly structured. It doesn't ask the listener to reflect on band tension or history.
Nope.
It just delivers dopamine. And in a forced listening environment, the path of least resistance, which is the path of maximum enjoyment, it often prevails.
And Paramore clearly provided that sustained enjoyment that just outperformed the sporadic brilliance of Bad Company.
No contest in the end.
So we have a meticulously crafted 80s metal concert and high-energy 2000s pop-punk advancing. That leaves us with the spectacular failure of the other wild card.
The one that was guaranteed to test the limits of the reviewer's personal musical scope.
The three tenors in concert.
Finishing in a decisive and immediate fourth place. This album provides the ultimate painful test of genre bias and spectacle versus sustained enjoyment.
The concert was a global event, right? Recorded in Los Angeles the night before the 1994 FIFA World Cup final.
Featuring Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, and Jose Carreras. I mean, it's huge.
The scale is immense, but the reviewer provides a crucial piece of personal history that immediately explains the struggle.
This is so important.
He admits to never being a fan of opera. He was only introduced to the genre via Italia 90 and that iconic 80s cornetto ad.
Ah, yes, the cornetto ad.
Which popularized songs like O Sole Mio, Nessun Dorma, and of course, Pavarotti himself.
And this is critical context. The reviewer's appreciation of opera, it's rooted purely in mass market, external events, football, and advertising jingles, not in any kind of intrinsic musical appreciation.
That's a great way to put it.
This 1994 concert, it was designed to capitalize on Pavarotti's newly found mainstream popularity. It was designed to be a global spectacle. It was opera as event marketing.
And speaking of event marketing, the reviewer raises a major skeptical viewpoint regarding the event's reach.
Oh yeah, the viewership numbers.
The source highlights the Wikipedia claim of an estimated 1.3 billion viewers watching the broadcast special.
Which is a staggering figure.
Right.
And Greenstrokes found it incredible. He questions whether this dire opera show really had almost the same TV audience as the actual FIFA World Cup final.
He calls it a tad unbelievable.
And this skepticism about the 1.3 billion figure is important because it acts as a metaphor for the entire album's value proposition in the album quest.
How so?
It suggests the reviewer saw the external hype, the supposed massive global cultural moment, as potentially inflated.
So he's already suspicious of it.
Right. And if the context of the tenors is slightly inflated or unbelievable, it allows the reviewer to strip away the obligation to revere the work based purely on its perceived historical importance.
It lets him judge it on its own terms.
The music has to stand on its own merits, especially against hardcore metal and pop punk.
And when forced to stand alone, it did not fare well.
It struggled profoundly with the requirement for repeated listens. The reviewer acknowledged the obviously impressive vocals, the objective quality is undeniable, but immediately counteracted that by finding the show dire.
And he admitted he started to actively avoid putting my playlist on, lol, and that tells its own story.
Active avoidance. That is the most definitive failure state in the album quest methodology.
There's no coming back from that.
None. If the very thought of hitting play on the next mandatory listen generates negative emotional labor, the album has failed the core test, period, regardless of its objective musical quality or its historical importance.
The quest tests resilience and the opera-induced emotional surrender.
And this raises that important question. When you're conducting an album quest, can personal genre bias ever be fully removed from the ranking?
The answer has to be no, right?
Realistically, no, but the quest methodology forces that bias right into the spotlight. The reviewer has to sit there and actively listen, repeatedly, to music he knows he dislikes.
It's a form of torture, almost.
In a way. And the single saving grace was, predictably, the one track that had permeated global culture through those same sporting events.
Nessun Dorma.
Of course. The reviewer acknowledged that Nessun Dorma's sweeping orchestration and booming crescendo is always worth a listen.
But one song can't save an entire album in this format.
Not at all. That cultural capital provided by a single song wasn't nearly enough to save the overall listening experience. The reviewer found the rest of the performance heavy, dense, and frankly, boring when forced into back-to-back testing.
So the conclusion is stark.
High opera simply cannot withstand the rigors of forced, repetitive consumption for a listener with a core genre resistance. The quest proved that intense, subjective dislike is a more powerful elimination tool than high critical praise is a safeguard.
Okay, let's consolidate the results of this bizarre grouping and move into our final synthesis. I mean, Group 235 was a phenomenal microcosm of this entire musical World Cup.
It really was. We had chaos, invention, pop resilience, and resistance, all in one little group of four.
So here are the final rankings that sent 2 albums forward and 2 home.
Number 1, Hammersmith, 1981 by Saxon. They progress.
Number 2, Riot by Paramore. They also progress.
Number 3, Rough Diamonds by Bad Company. Eliminated.
And in 4th place, the 3 tenors in concert. Eliminated.
So the 2 albums defined by high energy, coherence, and consistency move forward.